30 on a Tuesday at awesemo.com. Myself, Ben Reza, here with my partner, Tim Frank, fantasy golf man. Valero Texas Open from San Antonio on the docket. I have been training not to say Shell Houston Open all afternoon, and I still almost said it. But this is what we got. I know no one cares. Augusta's next week. We're gonna do something really exciting for that one, obviously, but we got to get through this first. So this is our appetizer, Tim. What do we got for Valero today?
Yeah, it's I guess it's good that Augusta's next week because people are just so excited about that. I think they're gonna pay attention to this week. They're thinking about golf, but this is not a good tournament, unfortunately.
Not good. No.
They switched the schedule around. I kind of liked. I think a lot of people like the Shell Houston Open the week before Augusta because they tried to emulate the same conditions that the players would see at Augusta. Obviously, they can't get it perfect, but I think that attracted some players. It gave that event an identity. And this is just not a great event, but whatever. We're still playing DFS. We're still going to bet on it.
It can't be worse than the match play, which it's every year I'm like, this is actually a pretty cool format. I love this. I build correctly. It doesn't seem to translate into any dollars. So that was an expensive match play event. I'm with you though. And Justin Rose comes to mind. I watched a presser with him, sometime last month, and he said that. He was saying Houston was a really good warm-up. A lot of guys, I think, are apprehensive to go to a course that's serving as a new lead up to the Masters. You don't want to be messing around with your schedule at this point.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, guys, this is going to be a tough week because, like you said before the show with the match play, guys have possibly played a lot of golf coming into this. And it's just like, I don't think guys that are going to be playing the Masters are really going to be grinding to make the cut. Like if they get off to a poor start, I don't think they're going to be like trying to birdie 18 to get in on the number. They're just going to be on the first thing smoking to Augusta. So
no doubt.
But yeah, whatever. We're going to try and win some money anyway this week.
Yeah, no, all in all, like I said, it's not the worst event. It's just everyone's got eyes for the Masters, and we're going to see, they release the pricing. We'll get into this more next week. It's always interesting to see, if Spieth wins this week, which would be a miracle in itself. Obviously, his price now is going to be a lot more appealing next week and vice versa with some guys. So that is always something I kind of keep an eye on, looking at a 2-week kind of combination thing with pricing.
Yeah, I don't love that they released the pricing so early. I don't know. It would think that they would want to drum up interest, and I'm sure that's why they do it, but I don't think you really need to drum up interest for the Masters. Like, I think they could maybe drop pricing on Sunday, maybe a day early, and it would be fine. I don't like that you have like this 2-week span in between the time the pricing gets released. They're still playing golf. So much stuff changes. And then you end up with kind of ownership bubbles because guys are wildly underpriced or overpriced, kind of based on what happened in the last couple of weeks. Not a fan of that, but whatever.
Nope, I'm not either. But I get it. I wish they had better ways to you could drum up interest without releasing pricing, especially for that, like you just said.
Yeah, but are people making lineups 2 weeks before? I don't know.
Maybe I can't do that because I'm not mentally strong enough to not. If I did that, I would be tinkering all over the place for weeks, and then I think I overrode my $1 million lineup, and I wouldn't be able to. I don't know how people can build and then not fiddle with it. I try to build towards the end of the week. I think that's what you should do. But we'll get to Augusta, obviously. TBC San Antonio, the one positive, and I think you'll agree with me here, this isn't a birdie fest. I do like that. It's definitely a tough course. What do you make of the venue?
Yeah, it is a tough course, and it's weird, like the players that have done well here, it's hard to find sort of common threads, but the course has an identity. It's a long 7,400-yard par 72. Like you said, it's tough. A lot of it has to do with sometimes windy conditions, but I mean, it's hard to hit fairways, hard to hit greens. We've seen the winning score here. Last year was 17 under. That was pretty low, but 12 under, 12 under, 11 under, 8 under. So yeah, it's a difficult course. A lot of trouble, a lot of nasty kind of native area, rocky, desert, all kinds of stuff off the tee that these guys can find. But yeah, just kind of the layout of the course and the wind kind of makes a tough test. So I do like that. We got Bermuda greens this week. So yeah, I think you just kind of got to go into it and look for guys. For me, it's guys that are strong off the tee because it is longer, and I think there is an emphasis on hitting the fairway, but not looking at guys like Furyk. I mean, you have to hit the fairway with some kind of length this week because there's a lot of trouble off the tee. So par 5 scoring, kind of strokes gained off the tee, and just guys that are going to fare better in a tougher scoring environment. Like you said, not a birdie fest this week.
It's interesting because it really tests everything. Because you can't just be accurate off the tee. You're going to be in trouble if you're laying way back. If you're bombing it, you're going to be in trouble if you're spraying it. And then even if you do strike it well, a lot of these greens, kind of like Augusta, there's false fronts, there's slope. It's going to be a lot of scrambling. So a well-rounded game, being able to grind out pars, limit your damage, bogeys aren't going to kill you at a spot like that. I like that kind of golf. Puts more of an emphasis on finishing points, not streaks and bonuses and coke rack hole-in-ones and all the other nonsense that I've been dealing with for months now. But it's still just, it's a very weak field and understandably so. The wind, that's something obviously as we lead into Thursday, we got to keep an eye on. It's Texas. It can be windy. Tee time stacks, we're not going to get into that now. I don't even know if they've released the pairings yet. So we'll take it on face value, but let's get into the real sickos we got. We got Ricky leading it off 11-7. When we get to Kuchar, I want to ask you about that. We didn't even discuss him and Sergio. Kuchar at 11-2, Finau 10-8, your boy Jordan Spieth 10-3, and then Sungjae Im, obviously, who is in this event, north of 10K because it is a weak field. So what do you think of the 5 top end options we got?
I think it's rough, honestly.
This
is kind of for me a week to build balanced. But it is strange because there's some cheaper guys I like, which is going to lead me to end up playing some of these guys. But, I don't love Fowler at the top. He's just not striking the ball as well as he has. He's gaining about 0.3 strokes off the tee and on approach combined this year, which is not that good for him. I've looked back over the last couple of years, and it's usually around 0.7 or 0.8, which is really very good. And then when you combine that with his short game, that's what's made him, one of the best players in the world. But the ball striking is really down this year. So, yeah, I don't love paying 11-7 for that. Kuchar, he's in a tough spot having played all those matches this week or last week at the match play, and then looking forward to Augusta. Like we said, he's, if he doesn't have it, I don't see him grinding out to make the cut. I mean, that's just a lot of golf to play, and it's a big ask. And if he's not going to be contending, I'm not saying he's going to be bad this week, but if he is bad, I don't think he's going to really care to make the cut and try and do Kuchar things on the weekend. So for me, I guess it's Finau at the top. Course should set up well for him. He had a third here a couple years ago. Ball striking's been good. He's kind of cooled off a little bit, but still, he's not missing cuts, just hasn't had any really high finishes. But I guess out of all the guys at the top, I like Finau the best. Spieth, to me, this is an awful spot for Spieth. And I don't say that about guys generally, but this is just, he's losing like 0.6 of a stroke off the tee. I don't think there's any way you can play this course hitting the ball as bad as he is off of the tee. And at 10-8, that's just an egregious price. I think he will miss the cut.
It's a weird situation. Not weird. That's not even the right word. If he can get in a position to, I never thought I'd say this. If he can just get in a position to scramble, he might be all right. But the way he's hitting it, I don't think it's that, being serious. I know we joke about Spieth a lot, but he is it's a low key Wesley Bryan situation, but it's like that, where it's just like, if you can't even get in remote position off the tee, it doesn't matter how good you are around the green and how good you can be putting. It just doesn't matter.
Yeah, and this course will punish you off the tee. Like, he'll be in cactuses and tumbleweeds and shit.
Yeah, it's not.
So, yeah,
it's
like not a place to mess around.
We'll see at Augusta, where obviously you can be a little aggressive and you can, there's some generous landing areas there. This is a tight fairway. Total driving is something I'm looking at, and Spieth right now is the anti-total driver. So I'm with you. I'm a little higher on Ricky than you. He's just the kind of guy, he hasn't been around. We haven't seen him after the Players. I think he comes in and puts in a good effort. I do think it's important that he gets off to a good start because all these guys, they're not saying they're just coming here to not try, but they're coming here to hopefully play well. But if they don't, they're not going to be, like you said, worried about, getting to Augusta 2 days early is the worst that can happen. I don't think that's a bad thing for them. Bad thing for our lineups, though. No problem with Finau. Sungjae Im, obviously he's very good. I do worry though that because he's now in Augusta, right? Before I make a fool of myself, or is he not?
I don't think so.
Is he not? Is he still trying to get it? See, I got to get that clarified. He plays so many weeks in a row, as we always say. He played Corrales, obviously, not the match play. I think this is a fine spot, but I do want to worry. I want to see at least what does he need to get in Augusta, if it's too late or if he's in or whatnot. Kind of indifferent to the price. We saw him with Johnny Vegas in a much weaker field B. I think they were north of 11 last week.
Yeah. I mean, I struggle with guys that we see their price just rise dramatically because they start playing really well, because it feels like, 5 weeks ago we were playing him at 7,700 and, obviously he's played great, but it just really, it's hard for me to wrap my head around anybody whose price kind of rises that dramatically. That being said, he's around guys I don't really, I don't love Horschel, I don't love Furyk, I don't love Kokrak, I hate Spieth, so I think he's playable, but he wouldn't be a prime target for me.
It's just, and you've brought this up so many times on this show. It's not. I'm with you. I don't like the guys right below him, but then you get into, and we can start working down. Benny Yan, guys like that, where it's like, hold on, how did this guy just leapfrog all them? Like, I know he's playing well, and he's a good player. I like Sungjae Im a lot. I'm just not sure that he's in a different tier all of a sudden based on a couple of good showings.
Yeah, with you 100% on that. Just seems a little, the price seemed to rise a little too quickly, or a little too high, a little too quickly for me. And I'm with you. There's guys in the low 9s that I think are just as good, or if not better than Im, and you're getting a $1,000 discount.
Yeah. All right. So let me work. It's obviously.
Do we want to talk about Kuchar before we?
Oh yeah. I said this and then I didn't. What did you make of that? Because I'm more of a Team Sergio guy, which I know is like kind of a ridiculous thing to say, but I'm not a golfer at all. I don't know what to make of it. What did you think of that whole situation?
I'll preface this by saying I was not watching it.
Okay, I saw it live.
So really the only thing that I know is kind of from what I've read. And to me, Sergio was just doing Sergio things by like backhanding the 3-inch putt and missing it. But the thing that's so weird to me is that Kuchar, the way I heard it is Kuchar was the one that said, I didn't give him that putt. Like if he would have just said nothing.
Correct.
If he would have just said nothing or like, yeah, it was good, there would have been no issue. But he was like, oh, I don't want to make an issue about it, but I didn't give you that putt. And it's like, you exactly wanted to make an issue out of it. So
1,000%. Like Sergio is an idiot. He even said that. Like, what are you doing? Just don't be stupid. Should have. But Kuchar, you know what you could do? Just do nothing. And no one's going to be like, hold on. Did you say that's like everyone moves on. It's not an issue at all. So like he makes it an issue. And then obviously on the next hole, Sergio wants him to concede or says, you can level it. And Kuchar's like, no, I'm not going to do that. So then why did you even bring this up in the first place?
Kuchar's like the girl from college who says she doesn't like drama, but then every time you guys go out, she gets in a fist fight with somebody, or like
it's like, just like, what are you thinking? That was the part where it came out when Kuchar stopped everything to make it known that he didn't say you're good. Obviously, what did he think was gonna happen? Like,
has anyone turned from like the nicest guy on tour to like the most hated guy, not even on tour, in any sport? Like he went the last like 5, 6, 7 years, it was like Matt Kuchar was the nicest guy on tour. Everybody loved him. And like in a matter of like 6 months, he's turned into like everybody hates him because he's done 2 incredibly dumb things. And it's like, I don't know. The guy just has no common sense, it seems like to me. Like
both things where it's like it's not even short-sighted. It's just like, what are you thinking? I mean, he should just go full villain at this point. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's very disturbing on many levels. Anyway, equally disturbing is Kokrak at 9-4. Sure, why not? We got Lucas Glover at 9-3. Benyon, Ryan Moore, Biergard. What do you make of the low nines? Because I think we're both pretty sour on guys like Billy Ho, Furyk. That's not going to be a staple of my lineups.
Yeah, I want nothing to do with Billy Ho or Furyk. I mean, Kokrak, I'm not playing him just because this has been well documented. I'm fading Kokrak to the bitter end.
The bitter end's coming up, let me tell you.
The stats are amazing, and the form is amazing, but I won't be playing him. So slightly interested in Glover at 9,300. T13 miscut, 10th, 4th, 7th in his last 5 events. Ball striking's been decent. The putting, which was really good, it seemed to regress a little bit, which is expected. But like we said, this is kind of an event where I would like him, where it's not paramount to make a bunch of putts, like just hitting it to 20 feet or 25 feet and 2-putting is generally going to be a good result on a lot of these holes. Same thing goes for Benny On, who I really like at 9,200. You know, the finishes haven't been great, but everything has been really good for him, but the putter's been horrendous. He's off the tee, he's been good. On approach, he's been good. Around the green, he's been great. And the putting has just been dreadful. But I like him because this is a course where you just hit the fairway, hit the green, 25 feet, 2-putt, and you're going to be fine. You don't need to, it's not going to be a birdie fest where you're going to need to make a bunch of 8, 10-footers. So I think I like On the best, and I like Glover a little bit. Not really interested in Ryan Moore.
Benny On, I wrote about this morning. You check out, obviously, my articles on the site. And maybe it's just me, I don't know if people realize how good around the green he really is. He's incredible. Yeah. He can't putt at all. That's a given. But it's not just his irons. He's a very, very timely, I don't want to say scrambler because that implies that he makes the putt. But he puts himself in positions to make the putt. Then he misses them. So I'm with you. I have no problem with him. And if he plays like this, eventually he's just going to put it together. There's no doubt in my mind. Field like this, it could be a spot. Glover, yeah, see that too. Ryan Moore, Biergard, not like, I know he's playing well, super impressive at the match play. I still worry. I have a difficult time gauging how good he really is. Like, is he wildly underpriced here or is he wildly overpriced? Is it just right? I don't know. I'm still taking kind of a wait and see approach. If I can get leverage on, say, he's like 7%, then maybe I will. But if he's popular, Biergard's not for me. I would actually rather play Abraham Answer, who's he's a San Antonio guy. No real, in terms of good history here. He's played a couple times, but he's striking it very well. And I think this is a decent fit for him. He can really strike it off the tee, keep it consistent, and set himself up for a pretty good second shot.
Yeah, I love Answer. He's one of my favorite plays on the board.
Is he a bet?
I don't know. At 33 to 1, that's not that.
That's kind of short.
Yeah, but yeah, he didn't advance out of the match play, but I had him at T17, which means he probably won a couple matches, or at least didn't get blown out of the water.
2-1.
2-1. Yeah, there you go. Last week. And you can't take too much out of what. That's such a weird format. Guys could play good and get eliminated in the first round. Guys can play poorly and make it through pool play. So, guys that didn't play well last week, I don't really take too much out of that because we don't have stats anyway to back up any of these finishes. But yeah, 1-2 matches, was 12th a couple weeks ago. I think that was at Valspar, or that was at the Players.
At the Players, yeah.
So yeah, he's playing good. Like you said, doesn't have the great course history, but really he's kind of a different player in the last year, 9 months. Really turned around. He was on, his last few years when he played on tour, he was really one of the kind of poorer players on tour, and really has turned it around. His game's kind of taken a couple steps. So yeah, I like him. Like you said, he's got the local angle, good off the tee, which is important this week. So yeah, I really like Answer at 8,900 too.
I mean, yeah, I think he's certainly, and he's quietly started to get it more consistent. He's knocked on the door a couple times. I think Quick in the loans, I want to say. I remember Shriner. He's been up there. So it's also kind of a dead zone because right below him, we got Graham McDowell, champion of the Corrales last week. Johnny Vegas, Hao Tong Lee, my man Youst, as I call him, Juiced Luton, Ryan Palmer, Badley. Like, what a ridiculous range of 8K people. I don't know what to make of it, to be honest. I don't really like anyone. Do you have thoughts for the mid eights?
No, I mean I like Vegas because he's just seems like he's playing really well. Um, but I'm never in love with Johnny Vegas. And besides that, it's pretty bad. I made a couple lineups where I had 5 guys I really liked, and I got stuck with like $8,400 left, and it was not good. So
I just have a tough time. You have these European. These aren't the top Euro guys. Obviously, they're whatever you want to call them, secondary or emerging with Hao Tong Lee, who again played well, took out Brooks, who's an idiot in himself. God, Brooks, you killed me last week. I really thought that was a good spot for him on match play, but no dice. Hao Tong Lee obviously has a ton of talent, but we've also seen him, really struggle at times. Then you have, Joust, whatever his name is, my man from the Netherlands. What do you make of him?
I didn't think anything of it, and then he was like a late addition to the tournament. And then I go back and I look, and he's playing pretty well in the European Tour, which I don't pay super close attention to. But I mean, 12th, 10th, 6th, miscut, and 3rd. That's what he's done on the Euro Tour. Yeah, I don't know, but he hasn't played in a few weeks. I'm proud. He's probably not for me, but just based on the form, I guess he's worth a shot. I don't know.
He's not a long hitter. Obviously, he's going to keep it in play. He's pretty accurate. Like I said, I'm a fan of his. I like his game. I just worry about where you're kind of thrown in and you need some plays. It's kind of like Detry last week at Corrales. I like Detry. I think he's a fine player, but he was in the mid 9s, and it's like you're not just asking Luton to make the cut. He needs to play pretty well. I think I'm a little more comfortable taking maybe some savings and getting into the high 7s. But I may have a sprinkle. I don't like Badley. That guy is an anomaly in every
Did you know he gained 10 strokes around the green at Bay Hill? 10 strokes around the green. Like, I don't think I've ever seen that before.
No, do you know what you have to do that's
you have to miss every green, probably.
And hole out like 5 times. I don't understand. I'm not even going to get into him. I don't think he's in play. Who is in play though, and I don't. Ryan Palmer, who he does like this course. He's got a lot of experience here. He's a Texas guy. There's a lot of we know Ryan Palmer, what the deal is. There's a lot of inherent risk every time you want to roster him. Just looking over his recent things, he has a couple where at Honda he gained 5 strokes with the approach, 6 strokes with the approach at Farmers. Then everywhere else he lost strokes, and that's just you don't know what you're going to get. I don't trust him for cash, but I think he's certainly a worthwhile GPP play if ownership cooperates.
Yeah, I mean, I like Ryan Palmer, especially in Texas. Got a great course history here. Like you say, super up and down. Missed the cut at the Players, but that's pretty much like the antithesis of what you would like a Ryan Palmer course. Of course, water and trouble everywhere.
Yeah, just water.
Yeah, you don't want that. So yeah, but like this is not a good range. Below Vegas, there's just nothing in the low 8K range, that I really would be enthused with ending up with any of these guys. It's probably just a pass on almost all of them for me.
The last guy, and we're going to break into the 7s here, is Luke List. He's flat 8K. I think he's more talented than a lot of the people around him. So on that alone, I don't mind it. But at the same time, it's funny. He certainly has the length, but I do worry about him spraying if he's aggressive off the tee. If he can keep it in play, his short game's better than it ever was. It's kind of like Webb, where I thought it was a unsustainable trend, and then he's kind of held on. So I don't mind him just because I think it's a pretty good price tag considering what this field is.
Yeah, I guess I should have put the caveat down to 8,100. I like List. I think he'll be really popular. He just seems too cheap. This is not a good field. And he's not playing poorly. The ball striking has been really good. 1.2 strokes with his approaches and off the tee, which in this field is second in the field. So he's right behind Kokrak as far as ball striking. Like you said,
of course he is.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of like Benny on ball striking, great around the green, decent, and the putter's just been bad. But flat 8K seems way too cheap for him in this field, and you could easily see him being in the mid nines. I would say in a field like this. So yeah, I like List, but I foresee him being pretty popular this week.
Agree. Now we got Russell Henley, Siwoo Kim, Jimmy Walker, Berger, Sun Kang, this Harding guy from South Africa that's taking over, Putnam, the Chilean amateur who's being back to call that after his showing last week. What do you make of the high sevens? This is where I'm going to find probably a good amount of my plays just because I'm not super high on the 8K as we just talked about.
Yeah, I don't know. I wish I knew more about Harding's game. I mean, the finishes are definitely intriguing. Won a couple matches in the match play last week, but it's hard for me, not knowing a ton about his game and trying to figure out whether this is a good course fit for him.
You don't watch the Sunshine Tour?
No, I was not. Yeah, the Alfred Dunhill Championship and the Shawnee Open. I just wasn't really.
Joburg Open, baby, get those highlights.
Yeah. Boy, I really don't know. I would probably go down.
God, wow, no Russell Henley. Just get him out.
It's not get him out. He's just I guess at 7,900, it's decent. I mean, I don't know. What about your boy Raiden, Joel Dahman at 7,500?
You get that sunblock from the rain.
He's got the right hat for this week. You're out in the desert, cactuses and stuff. 12th last week, 30th, 12th the last 3 weeks. I don't know. I mean, I don't love him, but I don't really love anybody in this range.
You don't have to sell me too hard because he's really good with the irons. I worry a little bit about his scrambling. Not that it's a giant leak in his game. I don't know how crisp it is either, though. His strategy usually is just like dominate greens.
Yeah, don't have to scramble.
And I don't know if that's realistic here. So 75, I don't mind the price. This is just like all the guys I listed. I don't want to throw any of them out in terms of eliminating them. But at no point am I like, all right, well, I know I need Henley or Berger or Neiman. Like I could I can mix and match here. And I plan to. Not one of them stood out. Sun Kang probably stood out in the wrong way. I don't really like to play him. I don't have a good gauge, but I think Henley's probably my favorite. Harding, I know he's playing well. I take a wait and see on most guys. I'd rather be a little late on someone like that because it's hard for me to bank where he's at. And this is not match play. This is stroke play, obviously. So
I guess Berger would be the most intriguing for me just because he feels like he has the most potential, even though he hasn't played well outside of the second at, where was that? The terrible event in Puerto Rico Open.
He was, where the hell was that?
I think that was Puerto Rico.
Yeah, Puerto Rico. He's lost around the green in 7 out of 8. It's been pretty bad. That's, again, what I kind of worry about. And his irons have been bad. So that's the old deadly missing the green, and then you can't scramble.
Besides that, he's been really good, though.
Really nice. He's been putting the lights out to come in like 60th, which is scary.
All right, scratch that.
I mean, but as we always say, there's two sides to a story. If he was playing a little better, he would be mid-9s in this type of field. I don't think that's crazy to think that, but it's a little dicey. On the flip side, if you got Dahman with a Raiden hat, Ali has no hat at the same price. I'm not sure I'm really going to go there either. The two guys I'm going to throw out and then we can move on. One is someone who I kind of expected a pretty big year and he's been quiet. I know he had a kid, but he finally showed some life, and that's Austin Cook. Got it going at Valspar, gains a couple with the irons. He's always a pretty good putter. And it's been, like I said, that's the first we really heard of him. He was good at RSM late in 2018, but after that, he's done nothing. I think this is a good buy low spot if you think that he's about to hit his stride for the year and maybe get back into it, because he's been really quiet, and I thought he could be primed for a decent year.
Is he more of a short track guy? I feel like he tends to play better at the shorter tracks.
I think that's a fair. For me, kind of what got me on him is he can scramble. I like that, he can scramble, he can bail himself out, but there is something to that. I'm not sure, this is the perfect setup, but at the same time, he's played it last year, came in 30th. Not that that's the end all be all. But I kind of look to him, and then on the flip side, certainly if you want length, this guy's got the length. Bud Cauley's just 7,400. I have no problem with that. Just on a talent standpoint, I think I may overrate him as a player, but I like his game. He's got plenty of length, timely putting, just good enough in every area where I feel pretty comfortable.
All your guys are in this range. JT
Austin's right there.
Fratelli.
Oh, well, we're gonna get to him.
You mentioned Ali, and I've seen his name. If you see his name like tweeted out like more than 2 or 3 times early in the week, I feel like people are going to be on him, and he's just not. He hasn't shown enough to where I think that like this is the spot for him. I mean, what he kind of flashed at the players for a minute, and then he just totally ejected. But Ali's just not a guy that I want to play if people are going to be on him. And I haven't looked. I guess we'll have to look at ownership projections, but I've definitely seen a couple people bet him. That usually means people are going to play him in DFS. So I don't think I'll be going there. Yeah, I like Fratelli. He was 18th last week in the at Corrales, which wasn't great, but I think the course sets up well for him. I like Nick Taylor at 7,200. Just is playing well. 24th, 16th, 30th, 33rd, 28th. That's his last 5 results. He's got a 22nd here. He's got a 21st here. Just good combination of current form and course history and price. And I think at 7,200, he'd probably be my favorite play in like the mid to low 7 range.
So there's nothing I can say to detract from that because it's all true. The one thing I'll say, Nick Taylor, every week there's a guy who never gets his moment in the sun as the chalk man. I think this is Nick Taylor's week of like, he's going to be really popular, I have a feeling, because you look, everything checks out. And it's like, that usually when that happens, it's a little dicey just for whatever reason. But
yeah, it's kind of like he's done just enough to get people's attention to want to play him, but he hasn't done enough to make his price go up. So
it's the scary where I think maybe I'm wrong about this, but I have a feeling people are going to do the like, I'll give you one, it's not going to be super sneaky, but also not obvious. Nick Taylor, it's like, well, if everyone thinks that, it may not actually be sneaky at all. He just makes so much sense. I really like Fratelli, just to second that. He's getting it going more consistently. 18th at Corrales, I'm happy about that. At the same time, he should be competing at a field like that. Like on the European Tour, he was a very, very good player. I think we're going to see more of him. He did go to Texas. He's not going to be whatever with this wind. He can handle it. So I'm with you there. Who else we got? I'm just going to rattle off some names. We got Chesson Hadley, Brendan Steele's down here, Keimer. These are 2 guys I want to get to. Chris Kirk and Wyndham Clark. They're both low 7s. Do you have any interest in Chris Kirk, who's my talk about kryptonite?
No, I don't. That guy's just weird. I don't know. He does some weird stuff on the course. I don't know. I heard people say, I don't pay attention like caddies. People say he uses 4 different caddies and he doesn't want the caddies to talk and stuff. I don't know. He just seems like a strange guy. Like
caddy. Okay.
Yeah, like carry the bag and don't like do anything else. And then, he's burned me. Yeah, that's what. Yeah, people say like, just carry the bag. Like, don't read the putts. Don't do it. He seems like a strange guy, and I've bet him so many times, and never has he ever come close to contending.
He's lost over 4 strokes putting in 4 out of the last 7, so he might want to revise that strategy of not reading the putts.
He's due. Due.
Oh, he's due. All right.
It's really funny that you mentioned Wyndham Clark because have you looked at his stats?
I have.
So he's gaining 0.257 off the tee, decent. 0.244 around the green, that's good. 0.615 putting, that's great. And he's losing 7/10 of a stroke on his approaches. Like he's almost dead last on tour.
Do you know who he reminds me of?
Who?
Bo Hostler. Do you see that at all?
I don't know. He's long too. He's like 5th in driving distance. So
it's just like he's got the putter working. He can't hit the irons. This is like Bo Hostler when he's getting 10 strokes putting.
It's very true. It's a lot like Hostler in the fact that he's like we'll call him a longer version of Bo Hostler, which should set up well here. But it's like, man, if he could just be like break even on the irons, he would be lights out.
I used to say that about Hostler. It turned out everything else regressed, so it doesn't even matter.
But right, so I don't know what to do because if he's missing a lot of greens, he's going to be, even though his short game is good, you can't succeed when you miss a ton of greens, and that's what he's doing right now. So I don't know. I'm really kind of wrapped up in him, but there's definitely potential there.
It's tough because you look at a couple of like seventh at Honda. He lost 3 strokes in the approach, but he gained 9 putting. So like you can't obviously look at that as anything else besides an outlier. He needs to be better with the irons. I do like that around the green. He can certainly handle himself. He can bail himself out with putts. It's just the age-old question of, is he going to get better with the irons before everything else regresses?
Yeah, it's like, in my mind, it's like, can he be that bad? I mean, can he really be that bad with the irons? I mean, it's got to come around a little bit at some
You
point.
would think, but that, like I said, Bo Hostler scarred me because I really thought that he was going to come around, and it just hasn't happened. I'm definitely going to have some Clark shares at 7,100. Do you have anyone else in this low sevens? We've got guys like Mackenzie Hughes, Sam Burns is down there, Party Marty, not Flores, Laird, that is, Kyle Stanley. Just no.
I don't know. No, not at all. I can't believe Kyle Stanley's 100-1 in this field, but he's just been
to make the cut.
So people are going to see that T24 last week though, and think he's turned it around. So.
Yeah, match play. He showed minor blip and then just no.
No, I think I'm good. I mean, yeah, between Nick Taylor, Wyndham Clark, yeah, and I don't think there's.
I think we've got enough on our plate there.
Yeah, we've got it covered.
Mackenzie Hughes is going to garner some ownership. 13th at Valspar, 2nd at Corrales, playing better. I'm not saying I'm just no chance I roster him, but at the same time, if he's the one that really takes down my week, so be it, because I don't anticipate having a ton. I don't think he's turned some type of corner. He's just playing a little better. So we'll see. So the last guy, I know I just said we're going to crash to the 6s. I have one last, and he's a Texas dude. He's got some relationship with Spieth. Kramer Hickok, flat 7K, was 10th last week. He's now made 5 straight cuts. Another one, he can't hit approaches, and he can't really putt. But other than that, he's a real up-and-comer. Do you have any interest here, or is this just let other people chase?
No, I mean, he's intriguing just based on, the finishes and the made cuts recently, and it's 7K in this field. That's pretty decent, but nothing really stuck out to me. Mm-hmm. There's just so many guys. I feel like if you're MMEing, you're just going to kind of take small pieces of a lot of guys in this range. None of them really stick out to me besides Taylor, who will be chalky. But yeah, this is kind of just, you're not going to want to pin your hopes on one guy in this low 7 range. So a few guys with potential, but nothing that really sticks out to me as like a core play.
Agree. Yeah, I mean, this is what happens in weak fields. You're not going to find a golfer who's playing well, who fits the course, who has course history, and everything checks out. Because if he did, he would probably be at Augusta chilling out. So you're going to have to take some red flags, mix and match. Before we get into the 6s, I'll give my quick spiel as I always do. If you can hit the like button, we would appreciate it. More importantly than that, though, if you haven't signed up, you should before the Masters. It's coming up fast and furious. You can use the promo code JazzRaz. You get half off your first month. Get into Slack with us. Tim's there, like I said, 24 hours a day, ready to take any and all questions. He lives for it. We obviously have all the other sports. Baseball starting up, basketball playoffs, hockey playoffs, all the other craziness. So sign up.
I actually have alerts on my phone, and it'll ping. It'll wake me up. So if it's like 3 a.m. and you want to talk golf, just at me. My phone will ping, and then I'll get up.
It's like the bat signal.
Yeah, and then we'll talk golf.
That's what it's all about. It's also all about Peter Uihlein, who is the next man up on this list. 6.9. Him and Nick Watney. Wow.
Yeah, boy. Time. God, this is such a good week for you, man.
I know. You would think that this is just a print fest, but when Kokrak wins, it doesn't matter. Yeah, I don't know. There's some plays down here. It's a little dicey. What are your thoughts? Is your plan to try to avoid the 7s or 6s, you go more balanced, or are you okay with kind of taking a couple stabs in the upper 6s?
No, I'm fine with taking some stabs with a few guys in the 6s here, because I think there's, like we said, you're just going to want to kind of take a few shots, and I think I don't know how popular Scheffler is going to be at 6,900.
Scotty.
but second last week on the web.com tour. Probably should have won. 3 top 10s this year. Texas guy, a ton of pedigree. So I don't know. We haven't really seen him on the PGA tour, but has some very high finishes on the web.com tour and's got a lot of pedigree. Besides that, boy, I don't know. At 6,700, DJ Trahan, he plays like 5 times a year, and when he does, he finishes in the top 20. Like, I don't know what to do with this guy, but when you look at his stats, I mean, the ball striking has been great. He was 10th last. He plays terrible field events, and this is pretty terrible field. He's at 10th, 16th, 18th in his last 3. He's got 4 top 20s in like 7 starts this year. The stats are good. I don't know. He really sticks out to me, but he just doesn't play a lot. We just don't see a lot of him. When he plays, he's great though.
Him and TJ Vogel, I wish could combined into one person and just the problem with him, and I say this kind of jokingly, but I'm honestly not. It's a lot of his great performances come at Corrales or Puerto Rico, and we don't have the shot data, so I don't know exactly what he's doing. Like you said, he plays in a lot of weak events.
This is like his U.S. Open this week.
Yeah, this is all the majors combined for him. I'm still more partial to taking someone like Danny Lee, who's struggled a little bit more, but he's been in tougher fields. Obviously, he's played in a lot more events and whatnot. And yeah, it's not good for him, but I still think he can kind of get nuts as a 1%er more often than someone like that in terms of finishing points. What about, we have to talk every week now about KH Lee, who
I was sweating bullets last week around like Saturday.
He would have won.
When he was making a run on Saturday, and I think he got the lead on Saturday. And I was like,
yeah.
Do not do this to me. And of course, in typical KH Lee fashion, he faded to a T26. I don't know what to do with him. He's flash. He's definitely flashed. We've seen him play great. And even last week, like I said, right around the lead on Saturday and just kind of fell apart. I don't know. I probably out of kind of sentimental. I'm a little sentimental to him. I might have a few shares, but yeah, I don't know. He wasn't anybody that I would think of as, a really strong play. It's hard. I don't know what you're going to get. And I hate this week because there were 2 events last week, neither of which we have strokes gained data for. So it's really hard to kind of interpret some of these finishes. And, I'm almost these days, I'm looking more at the strokes gained than I am the actual finish. I won't say I disregard it, but I think it's as important to look at how the ball striking was over just how the guy finished.
Absolutely. And I'm on a week like this, I'm more apt to just take what I think is a long-term view on some of these guys, where if we don't have the data, I don't know what happened in Corrales. I'll take the body of work. And that kind of brings me to what I wanted to ask was, I know he's not playing good, and this is just on pure feel. I will say before I say that, Adam Schenk just consistently churns out quality finishes. He's 6,700, but HV3 is also 6,700. And it's like, for me, I'll go to him before I try to guess if some of these other guys are the answer. I feel way more comfortable with that.
Yeah, 100%. HV3 kind of stuck out like a sore thumb.
It's like, what?
I was actually surprised. I was just kind of going down, and I'm like, oh, I guess I'm done. And then it's like, oh, shit, HV3's down here. Yeah, I mean, he's another guy. You could see him being 8,500 in this field if this event was like 8 weeks ago. The form has fallen off, but yeah, just way too cheap, in this event. If he's chalky, probably wouldn't like him. I don't know. I don't know if people are going to go there or not because, the finishes haven't been there. Was it the fall season when he was just kind of on fire?
Yeah, it was early. Where is that? Right here. Yeah, it was like OHL, Shriners Desert Classic, Safeway. Yeah.
But this field is bad. It's just not a good field. So correct. 6,600 underpriced for, as good of a golfer as he is. Ortiz at 6,500. You want to go another local angle, kind of like Answer? No, you're not feeling it.
I'm not super. This Ortiz guy, I don't know.
Ortiz guy.
It's just like I want to jump on him. I always look for the right spot. He's always. I don't want to say he's popular, but he's never like truly low owned. He gets some ownership here and there. And the putter's been weak. He was really good at Genesis, but he gained a ton of strokes putting. So other than that, I just I have trouble picking guys where I don't know what they do really well. And with him, it's just like, man, he kind of pastes it together here and there. I'd rather take Roberto Castro, who I know what he does well. I know what he doesn't do well.
He does. He drains my bank account well. That's what
yeah, mine too. 80, coming off a hot fire 81 on Sunday. I don't know. For me, I'm just more apt to say, hey, Roberto Castro, he can get crazy hot with the irons, does his thing, can scramble well enough, and he just has to make a couple putts. But that's more my speed down here than taking a guy like Carlos Ortiz, where I just don't know his game that well.
Yeah, I mean, Castro is going to hit the fairway, and his approach game is good. Besides, where he just totally crushed us a couple weeks ago.
That was awful.
Yeah. Grayson Murray.
Oh yeah,
12th last week. We know off the tee game is super strong when he's playing well. The stats aren't that great this year, but he's been. I think who knows what's going on with him. But when his game is on, very good off the tee and showed something last week.
I wish if there was one guy that I could see the strokes game data from last week, it would be him. I'd love to know what happened.
I would ask him on Twitter, but he blocked me.
Yeah, times are tough. He is a guy that I've said this before, so you want to take it with a grain of salt. I am waiting to jump back on because he scores fantastic for DFS purposes. He's never popular. He's super cheap, and he's a pretty good player. It's just been bad for a real long time. He finally showed some life last week. I'll probably have a sliver. He was 16th here last year. He was in much better form, though. So take that for what it's worth. That's about it. I mean, JJ Spawn is another guy at some point I'm going to probably jump back on. Not going to be here, I don't think.
Yeah, I think he's battling an injury. He withdrew a couple weeks ago, or he might have withdrew before the tournament started. But I remember
something. Valspar.
Yeah, something going on with him. One more guy that I don't love, but it's almost like a poor man's HV3 as far as the pricing, as far as the pricing goes. But that's Harkins at 6,100. It's just like I never love Harkins, but I mean, I don't know, 60. I don't think he should be $100 above the min in this field. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts? He's been up and down. I mean, he 44th, 60th, cut. It's like
I mean, he's the same price as Smiley. That's not right.
Yeah, exactly. There's value right there, and
he just needs to make the cut. Now, I think he's certainly in big danger of missing the cut here. But if you build, the thing I'll say about him, I say this every week with a couple guys. I'm not going to actively target Harkins, but if I make an aggressive build and I need someone at 61, there's no question that he's the answer. He's your guy. He's your guy because, when you first said him, I scrolled down and I got distracted because there's a guy named Rufus in this field.
Yeah, Rufus Breh. I don't know if he's Hispanic. It's either Brajaba or Brahaba.
Who's that?
Oh, dude, he's the next coming of...
yeah, who's on deck? Who's up?
Who was the guy at Valspar that was so good?
Not Matthew Wolf. Not...
How quickly we forget.
That's so sad. Oh, it was he had an interesting name. He was only 17. The 17-year-old guy.
I'm gonna figure it out here.
You figure that out while I click on Rufus's little thing that has no data.
He's got nothing. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I read a little bit. I think he goes to UTEP, if I'm not mistaken.
All right, he's a minor. There we go. Don't play him. Public service announcement. This is, again, I don't think you should be dipping down into the low sixes. Did you find that kid's name? We're not.
I don't know how to pronounce it. Akaya Batia.
Batia. Okay. Yeah, is he the next Batia? We'll find out. So
people will play him and tout him this week, I'm sure. But.
Always, you got to be first. If you're not first, you're last. So that's really it. Obviously, any bets? Did you bet anyone in this?
I bet Taylor at 80-1, and that might be enough to just not play him in DFS if he's going to be very, very popular. I don't know. The other two guys was kicking around was both Ann or Answer. I'm not in love with the prices. They're like, around 33 to 1. I just don't love it. I don't know. This is a bad event, but last week I was kicking around either Knox or Kisner and I chose poorly,
Oh,
obviously. So
that
yeah.
hurts.
Yeah, that was bad. But yeah, Taylor's 80 to 1 and this just seems like an event that sort of
It's wide open, in my
anybody
opinion.
is live for, it's just one of those events where you get some kind of off the wall winners and Taylor's playing good. I think 80 to 1's a decent price for how well he's been playing. But yeah, I don't know. I'll kick around either An or Answer. Decide whether I want to go with ball striking and miss putting with An, or maybe a little more well-rounded game with Answer in the local angle. But yeah, probably one of those two guys I'll fire on.
I'm not sure we mentioned it during the pod, but Andrew Landry is a defending champ here. So that just speaks to it can be wide open. There's not a ton of win equity up top with the guys we have up there. I mean, when it's Ricky and Finau, like, I like both of them in life. They're not exactly shut the door, it's over. So
yeah, and with the Masters next week, I think there's probably some distractions, and yeah, it's definitely wide open for a long shot this week.
For Telly, do it.
Wyndham Clark.
Watch Neiman will win, and I'll just anything. Any last thoughts before we get on out of here, and then we'll just have the Masters on the mind after we lock this on Thursday.
Yeah, I pay attention to the weather. I remember a couple years ago, it was one of the biggest draw biases I think we'd ever seen. It was like 4, just from like AM to PM on the same day. It was like the AM wave got hit with wind, and then it died, and then the PM wave like had no wind. It was like a 4-shot difference just on one day. So it's definitely an event you want to pay attention to the wind on, and yeah, just go with it out of a mindset of a long course, tough scoring environment. I think those are all important factors, and certain players play well at certain types of events. So
yeah, it's funny when next week we're going to talk about how good all the teams look. When your last guy's like Leishman somehow. This is going to be different. You're going to have some guys that either have spotty recent form or spotty course history, or just aren't that good relative to the top players, and that's what you get at a field like this. So, as we always say, you want to embrace that, build some stacks, build some tee times. And for me, I kind of again, I zoom out in this time of year and I say, okay, I just think this guy's a better player. I'm going to go with that over someone I didn't know was even in this event until I looked. So that's where I'm at. All right, well, we did it. We got it through Valero. Let's see if we can get a little momentum. Obviously, the Masters is going to change everything. There'll be monster tournaments. There'll be a ton of content. It's a great time. It's I think like many people, it's an awesome week. But on that note, we're going to get out of here. So thanks, Josh, for producing. Good luck, everyone. Tomorrow night, 9 p.m., me and Jason Roslin, we'll be talking weather, tee times, lineup construction, all that good stuff. Hit the like button on your way out. Find us on Twitter, especially Tim. And we'll see you next week for the Masters.